Hello everyone, this is Tip Top Gaming here today with another MTG Arena video. Now today I am playing the Artisan format for the Fae Festival event, and I'm playing an Azorius Flyers deck. Now, what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to cut away and show you how the deck works. Alright, so here's how the deck works. I basically play a bunch of flyers and spells that work basically on flyers. So, for instance, I'll play a bunch of 1/1 flyers like Healer's Hawk or Fairy Miscreant, and then I'll cast things like Rally of Wings and Empyrean Eagle, which have a tribal boost, but instead of picking a tribe, it's basically flyers. As well, it has the added power of being flyers, so it's really hard for other decks to block. Overall, this deck is really only missing 1 or 2 rares, so it's a good choice for an Artisan deck. Alright, so in this deck, I'm basically running a bunch of flyers, like I just said. And our first opponent appears to be playing something very similar, running blue-white and playing a flyer. However, I get to go first, so I get my Empyrean Eagle out, which, as you heard before, boosts all of my creatures by +1/+1. Now, I'm not blocking this 1/1 because he has 1 white open, and 1 white can give +2/+2 fairly easily. However, I get out my second Empyrean Eagle, and now basically everything is at least a 3/3 flyer, which normally would be a lot more powerful, but this guy has all flyers. Now, he concedes after he realizes that I'm going to win. Now, I'm showing you my exact, how I did. I'm not cutting anything. This is in the exact order. I did cut a little bit of the in-between. Now, overall here we have I think, worse hand than before. Now, I'm going to play the Fairy Duelist, but I'm going to do it in such a way that it really shows the power of Flash. He attacks with the 1/1, I get to nullify it, and I get to block it and kill it. So that works out really well. And, yeah, overall, there's just a lot of uncommon and common cards because this was a draft strategy, so that's why this can kind of work in the format. The only big card you lose is Safara. And we are apparently playing against a draw your second card. Now, of course, we happen to be getting matched up against people who have tons of flyers. And I say tons because this person has the whole, when you draw your second card, create a 1/1, which is devastating when our whole deck is worth based on 1/1s, and he can just keep drawing and drawing and drawing. However, I have Rally of Wings, which is the star of the deck. Overall, it just, it can turn a swing for 5 damage into a swing for, I guess that'd be 2 more per, a swing for 15 damage. So that's pretty crazy. Now here he decides to double block, which was probably the right move. Now Quench, I have mixed emotions on Quench because it oftentimes is a useless spell. Now I do get to use it here because he's casting multiple spells per turn, because that's kind of what my opponent's deck does. But generally that card is a little iffy. Now I do get a Spectral Sailor, and so if they don't block, because sometimes they're like, oh, well, it's not worth blocking, I'll counter swing for more, I could get a ton of damage. But instead, I use that to basically keep his side of the board controlled while not losing any of my creatures. However, the issue is, now I don't have any cards in my hand. Now, Spectral Sailor allows you to pay 4 to draw a card, and I'm about to make a mistake. And this is a big mistake, but I still make it. So you'll notice here, he's playing a bunch of cards, and I'm thinking about math right now, but then I accidentally don't use the ability to draw a card. So if I would have drawn a card, I would have drawn that Quench, and then for my upkeep, I would have drawn the next card I'm going to draw. But it's fine. Now here, the Quench, again, is not able to save my Spectral Sailor, but it's not that important. Since it doesn't require me to tap him to draw a card, I can just pay the mana. Now here I'm able to, again, quench his draw spell, which pretty much, it really helps. Now here I'm able to draw an extra card. So, think about all my draws cascaded by 1. That's what would happen if that one mistake caused that whole thing. Now, if you notice, I did basically the same thing, and I'm not able to kill him. Now, my hope was that he would let things through, but he didn't. And his 2/9/4s are very terrifying. However, I get this Elite Guard Mage, which then draws into another Elite Guard Mage, and I keep getting tons and tons of lands, which is kind of infuriating. And he keeps being able to create 1/1s, and so I'm trying to build up an army of flyers, and at the same time, he's doing it. And so I am slowly chipping away at his health, but now he plays a second one, which I'm like, okay, I'm dead. But luckily, what I do is I pay that, and I get Empyrean Eagle, which turns all of my things, basically, that card is so big, because now all of my 1/1s are now able to beat all of his 1/1s without dying. So that is humongous. And you're about to see the luckiest draw in the world. Now, this guy does not play super offensively, like, that's fine, but I get Empyrean Eagle, then I use that to draw a Rally of Wings. And you'll notice that is the perfect amount of damage. So he manages to block everything but one, and I cast it and get the 5 exact damage on him. So that's my second win. So far I've gone 2-0 with this deck, and that game was super tight. Like, mana, that game was probably one of the most fun games I've had in a while, and I think Artisan is a great format. Now, this game is very quick, I think. Oh, no, it's not. What am I talking about? We're talking about standard cards. It's not quick. But, speaking of which, standard is a mess right now, and this format is not, partly because it's not solved, which kind of helps, but it also promotes creativity, and I just love not facing Oko and all those very powerful cards, and it feels more like Magic and not like Planeswalker, you know, like, it feels like I'm summoning creatures to help me, and all this is happening, versus just counterspell, elk, food, turn that food into an elk, swap your Yarick with my food, you know, craziness that standard is, and so this format is really great. If you guys want to see my, like, full opinions, if you want to see me do a breakdown of the format in terms of, like, how I think it did and how much fun I had, like, and just do a whole video just covering that, please let me know in the comments down below. So let's get back into breaking down this game. So again, we're playing against a person with flyers, which seems to be a theme. Now, I don't really agree with this person playing Light Up the Stage in his deck, because he's running blue, and generally blue can just have better card draw for, is it 3 and then potentially 1? I mean, I'd much rather run Opt, especially because it can then exile. You have to, like, anything you pull with Light Up the Stage, you have to play quickly versus drawing the card. You get to play it whenever you want. But at this point, I have a pretty strong board state in terms of having lots of cards. And, like, I have a bunch of 1/1s and Rally of Wings, which is a wonderful combo, because, again, it turns all my 1/1s into 3/3s, or my, you know, blah, 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 and it untaps them, so like, it's not as big of a crackback, although generally I don't block with my flyers. And so, at this point, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, if I did that. No, I did not. I have 7 flyers. I'm sorry. So 7. Imagine they all had 1 toughness. That's lethal, obviously, if they don't block anything. And generally, this deck has become popular enough where people learn that Rally of Wings is a card, so you'll notice they'll make blocks. But you'll also notice here that they double block to try and kill that, which backfires and leaves them on 1 life. And I think they may have calculated for that and been like, if this happens, I want to be left at 1 life. But then again, 1 life's not much life, especially when I have an army of 1/1s. And he concedes, realizing that he has 1 blocker and I have a ton of 1/1s. Then we move on to the next game, and so far I'm undefeated in this, mostly due to the power of flyers, although we've been playing against a lot of people with flyers. Now, here we have 2 flyers, like 2 generic flyers, then we have a boost of flyers, and then we have Rally of Wings, which is a really fun card. Now, I start with Healer's Hawk. Now, I decide that I'm going to, you know, obviously flash it in, because that can add some potential to the card. Now, Fairy Duelist is kind of weird, because it's a combat trick, and so I almost wondered, hey, should I not do this and instead try to use the combat trick? But I figure the 1/2 is probably better, especially saying I have Empyrean Eagle, which will make it a 2/3. So at this point, he's dead in 4, yes, I think it's 3 turns at this point. However, I play a Fairy Duelist, and now I'm threatening lethal. He doesn't know that, but I am threatening lethal. However, the thing is, I'm about to be threatening lethal again. He is basically spending, that Death Sprout took his entire turn and basically lost him the game, because he spent all that time taking out Empyrean Eagle when a bunch of 1/1s can still kill you. So that's kind of the hard part, is spot removal, especially expensive spot removal like Death Sprout doesn't work well against this deck. So again, I start with Healer's Hawk, and we have a very similar thing with a bunch of flyers, Empyrean Eagle, and Rally of Wings, which generally leads to good gameplay. I'll leave the deck list in the description down below for once I actually do endorse playing a deck in this event. Like, normally I'm like, don't play this. This is just kind of fun. It's not super great. However, you're about to see this game. Things go for the worst. So you'll notice here that I missed that land drop. So at this point, the mono red player has more mana than me. Now, he's playing a 7 Dwarfs deck, which I think is really cool. But at this point, there's not much I can do, and I realize I'm an idiot. and that if I was doing my math right, I could have maybe won this, but, you know, looking at it after the fact, but, because, okay, so if you look at this, I have 9 damage right here, so technically I have lethal next turn, assuming that, but then he's able to completely wipe my board. So if I would have just started using Rally of Wings a turn earlier instead of just holding on to it, I would have won. I'm 99% sure. I didn't do the full math. But he manages to be able to beat me. I play my Empyrean Eagle just to play it and then concede. Now, of course, I get that mana like a turn too late, but it's fine. We go on to the last, we go on to try and get our last win. And again, I don't have the Empyrean Eagle here, but I do have a bunch of flyers, Winged Words, which is nice, and Healer Stock. Now, you'll notice that I play the Corsair Pegasus, and that's because it has high defense, and in case they do some sort of fighting thing, I want it to survive. But what ends up happening here is I leave the mana open for Spectral Sailor, so at this point I'll have 3 1/1s. So I do that. Now, you might be thinking, why didn't you play like Rally Wings or something? I did that so I wouldn't be mana screwed, because being mana screwed sucks, and I didn't want a repeat of the last game that literally just happened to happen, so I went with the card draw when I normally wouldn't. I think it worked out because we pulled the mana and we're able to play Empyrean Eagle the next turn, which then boosts all of our creatures, and he concedes after realizing he doesn't want to play against Azorius Flyers. So, I successfully acquired all 5 of my styles for this, and I've already purchased all 3 bundles from the store, and I have the coins saved up for the next 2 events, so I am on track to, well, not on track, like, I will get all of the showcase cards. Then I'm going to do a video covering where I talk about all of the showcase cards, and do I think it was worth the 17, or I guess it was only 16,500 coins, or would I have rather gotten 16.5 rares? I'm going to talk about all that, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can see those awesome videos. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, subscribe. I should have a Brawl video coming out Wednesday. No super promises on that because things can change, but that video will take forever because I'll explain in that video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.